welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm recapping episode 5 of season 2 of P-Valley, the most appropriately named episode, White Nights. We get Keyshawn, aka Miss Mississippi's origin story, which is told using the theme of the Cinderella fairy tale. And one of my favorite things in TV and in film is when there's a clear theme and that theme is carried all the way through to the end. I love a good connecting thread. And we see these different sprinkles of Cinderella throughout the episode. Like you'll notice that she keeps wearing blue, which is, you know, the color of Cinderella's ball, if you've ever seen the Disney movie. I also love that, and I don't know if this was intentional, one of my favorite content creators who is like a love coach, and I typically don't like that kind of thing, but she talks a lot about it from a holistic perspective, so I allow it in my life, in my wheelhouse of joy. She has this thing called the fairy tale industrial complex, and that whole theory explains so much about the heteronormative ways in which we date, the way that we feel that we're supposed to be pursued, the way that we think we're supposed to be wooed. All of that stuff plays into that, and there was a lot of that throughout the episode, so I'll tap back in on that part. This episode opens up with just beautiful scenery of my hometown, Atlanta. I love you, Atlanta. With Kryptonite, Big Boy, one of my favorite songs, playing overhead. If you ever want to do some good cardio, listen to Kryptonite. Like, you know what? Do it at your own risk because you may overdo it, but it's a very good cardio workout song. Anyway, the girls are at the Legends Ball where legendary strippers, dancers, performers, whatever you want to call them, Gigi McGuire, Jessica Dime. I am quietly a fan of Jessica Dime. I loved her on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Like, I follow her. I quietly love Jessica Dime. And also Miami Tip. These are like veteran dancers who really, they're just vets in the game. And this is the night for them to get their flowers. And the HBIC of them all, Jocelyn Hernandez, makes a cameo. I thought that was so much fun and so appropriate. Was Jocelyn's acting the absolute best? I don't know, because how do you know when Jocelyn's being serious and when she isn't? Because she's such a caricature of a person already. So like, how would you know? How would you know? So this is also Miss Mississippi's night at this club. She's going to be a featured dancer, as I guess you could like look at the 3 girls or women who are being honored as being like the mothers of the dancer world. And, you know, Keyshawn is there. They're passing the torch on to her. So she's the featured dancer for this evening. Lil Murda feels the way that he's not performing. And this is where we first see that he and Teak are having some residual issues in their relationship. We'll just say that, right? So Rome is backstage with Keyshawn, and he's trying to secure a deal for her to get her own lace front line. And it's interesting how she calls things ghetto, right? But we'll get into that. She felt like one of the wigs was like really ghetto, and it's like, okay. She's not thrilled with the selections, but she makes one. You know, shouts out to the blonde girls. And Rome tells her that the tour is being extended for another week. And she's like, I really need to get home. And he's like, look, I cleared it with your husband, but what you really need is this money. Like, you need to get this money so that you can escape. Like, I'm trying to help you. This isn't our first time seeing Rome try to act like a white knight for her. Uncle Clifford is narrating this episode in such a gorgeous, gorgeous way. I absolutely love it. I think that she colors the story in so many ways and just adds a little bit more texture to the experience. I love a good narrator in any show, and I'm thrilled that in this one it's Uncle Clifford. But you hear Uncle Clifford say that she's the kind of girl that people want to save. Uncle Clifford tried to save her. Diamond tried to save her. But when it comes to saving people, like Uncle Clifford said, you can't save someone until they're ready to be saved. And you also have to look at the choices that that person is making of who they're choosing to allow to try to save them, right? So Rome is a pretty unscrupulous person anyway, so we shouldn't be surprised how things turned out. But in this episode, this is the first instance of him giving this impression that he's in service to her, that he's trying to help her out, that he's making these decisions and managing her life. Like, Rome really does have a lot of control over her life as her manager. So she's in an extremely controlling relationship with Derek, where he basically knows when her periods are and has a tracker on her phone, to this next very controlling relationship with Rome, albeit in a more professional capacity. She's still giving a man control over her. So she doesn't love this wig selection, but you know, she still chooses one. She does her featured dance. Of course, it was amazing. Every time I watch them perform on the pole, I'm afraid that someone's gonna fall. Even when I go to the strip club, I literally get anxiety. I can't watch too closely because I'm like, I can't witness someone fall like that. Like that, never mind how they would be injured. It's like that would be traumatic for me, like main character syndrome. Anyway, so as she spins down the pole, we get, you know, taken back to Chucalissa High School to get her origin story. So Keyshawn, again, Cinderella, she has two stepsisters who aren't necessarily evil, but she does have an evil stepmother. So Keyshawn is trying out for the cheerleading squad. Her stepsister is much better at it than her. And this is where we find out how Derek and Keyshawn got together. Derek was a cheerleader. Obviously, like, he was a base attempting to lift her. It didn't work out. So colorism is a heavy, heavy theme in this episode. Obviously, Keyshawn is a darker skinned girl and the sisters are lighter skinned. And for me, they weren't, I don't know, it's such a spectrum. They're lighter skinned, okay? And by virtue of them being lighter skinned and having pretty hair, their mother favors them. And because she's their biological mom, she obviously favors them way more than she does Keyshawn, right? And she's not shy about that. But she's also really an asshole towards her own daughters. So beauty is at the top of her priority list, and she lets the other daughter know that her hair is the one thing that makes her beautiful. What a shitty thing to say about your own daughter. So she's an evil stepmother, but she's just not a great mother, like, all around. I think we can agree. Like, she's a pretty shit person. So Keyshawn is sitting on the bench after she has fallen off of this pyramid. Triggering for me. Again, main character syndrome. I don't know why I have to make everything about myself. I'm working on that. But I remember, like, being in middle school and trying to be a flyer. Why would I try to be a flyer? I'm, like, afraid of heights, and I was the worst. Anyway, so she's icing her head. Some of the black football players come over to try to talk to her. She's not interested, and they start making, you know, colorism jokes or whatever. Derek swoops in to save her, white knight, and ends up beating up damn near the whole football team. And surprising no one, they get suspended and Derek doesn't really get in trouble. Now, here's what. If you spit on me, I feel like I have to draw blood from your body. You can't just be spitting on people, like, period. I'm sorry, but you cannot spit on people and not expect repercussions. I'm not saying that Derek was right or wrong, but I am saying that if you spit on me, I gotta draw blood, period. So this is the first instance of Derek swooping in to save her and giving her the false impression that he's a good guy. And it's really easy for us to be misled because these grand gestures as a part of the fairy tale industrial complex are what men are taught to perform and what we're taught, socialized to buy into, to believe that like, oh, this means that this person really desires me, and this means that this person is my Prince Charming, this is my one true love, right? So those kinds of socialized beliefs can really color the way you respond to or receive that kind of affection, admiration, what have you. As you guys know, I have my notes so I can keep up with everything. So I want to point out something else too that the stepmom says. She uses a term called wasted yellow, which is a very problematic Southern term, and it's a person who's light skinned but who isn't isn't considered pretty because their features are too black. So they might be very fair skinned, but they might have like a broader nose, or the things that make those kinds of people consider Black people unattractive, the things that the mainstream world doesn't find acceptable about Black beauty. When a person has those kinds of features, but they're light skinned, they're called like wasted yellow because you light skinned, but you're not attractive. Very problematic, but I just wanted to point that out because it's kind of like a deep cut. I was surprised to hear that because I've only heard that in the city, the very, very country city where a lot of my family is from. And I was like, did they just say what I think they said? So I just wanted to tag that as an aside. And this is also, we can see where Keyshawn gets her own beauty standards and beauty ideas from, because we remember in episode 1 when she's telling her daughter her version of, the Rapunzel story or whatever, and she's talking about her daughter's hair and really leaning into the texturism because her daughter's obviously biracial. Keyshawn's stepmother made fun of her for like wearing weaves. Now, here's my question. Y'all, what year was it supposed to be? What year were these flashbacks taking place? I was very confused about that. I couldn't tell how old anyone was supposed to be. And then at one point, it looked like Keyshawn was wearing like a Clueless style outfit. I was very confused. If I missed something, let me know. Like, did y'all see a sign anywhere that said what year it was supposed to be? Because I was very lost and confused by that. So we learned that they have an annual Christmas party or a Christmas ball, again, Cinderella theme, and it's segregated. And there are, I'm sure, probably still high schools in the South that segregate their proms. I remember it was like a really big story, maybe like 10 or so years ago or more. I don't know if, I'm sure that still happens somewhere. But as the school became integrated, the white parents who had wealth and privilege decided they would host their own Christmas ball for their kids on like a plantation. And the Black kids, I guess they were just in the school gym, whatever. Oh, of course, I did not realize that Keyshawn and Gidget knew each other from high school. So Gidget is the cheerleading coach. Katori Hall said on her Twitter that they were actually supposed to go to the club. Gidget and Keyshawn were supposed to go to the club together to watch Gidget's mom perform at the club. But again, COVID scheduling, that didn't happen, which is also why Uncle Clifford was not physically a part of this episode of Keyshawn's origin story. COVID messed things up. They did the best they could. So Keyshawn is walking home in the rain. Derek pulls up in his Prius, offers to give her a ride, and they go have lunch at Taffy's. Is it a date? Is it not a date? What makes a date a date? Of course, Patrice Woodbine taps in, as a fairy godmother to insist that Keyshawn gets more food because he's going to pay. And Keyshawn, this is also the first time we see evidence of Derek being abused by his father. And Keyshawn asked the question, like, would you take me home? Because obviously this is an aggressively white man. I mean, like, he's aggressively white. Like, he looks like Scandinavian white. Like, ain't no diversity in his gene pool at all. Like, his relatives might, you know what I mean? Because he's aggressively, like, Aryan, okay? Like, very white man. And there's some hesitation there. So it comes down... Oh, we got to talk about this argument again, where Keyshawn was wearing, I just couldn't tell what year that outfit was supposed to be for. It wasn't that it wasn't cute. You know, the wig was cute, but I was just like, what is Keyshawn's aesthetic here? I don't. Anyway, she gets into an argument with her stepmom because the stepmom is telling the story of how her father wooed her, right? And Keyshawn is like, well, you forgot the part where you're basically a homewrecker. So they get into this fight. And I was confused about the line that she was like, I might look bougie, but I'll pull out a beret. That just seemed out of place for me. Where'd that come from? Is Keyshawn's mom hood? Will we meet Keyshawn's mom? I need to know the root, not the root, the root of how we arrived there. Because what? I'm assuming that because Keyshawn's dad is the breadwinner, that their family came from some wealth before he married this woman, but I was just confused about that. So slide in the comments, let me know if y'all have any ideas about like where that line came from. Was it a reference to something that I should know? I was just a little bit confused. So we fast forward to the night of the ball. Keyshawn is, you know, doing her Cinderella thing. She not even gonna go to the ball because like she just transferred here. She don't know nobody. Ain't nobody really trying to take her out. She's the dark-skinned, ugly stepsister where it's like, y'all can try as hard as you want to. You're not gonna make her not attractive. Still a very gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous girl. But that is also how colorism works. For some people, it does not matter how pretty you are. It's just that you're not light-skinned. And that will never not be wild to me. Anyway, so she's just eating a bowl of cereal while the girls are, you know, getting ready to go to this pageant. And we get the sense that James is molesting, in some way abusing Alicia. She's like cringing at him touching her. He, you know, obviously is too touchy-feely or something like that. And it's like, okay, does Shanice know? Because she definitely gives me that she's one of those types from that Tyler Perry movie. Y'all know which one I'm talking about. It was it Family Reunion? Where it's like, you know, your husband doing something to your kid, but you trying to keep up appearances or something because you a trash-ass bitch. I obviously don't like this woman. And I definitely like caught that part, which also led me to question, did he also abuse Keyshawn? These are questions that need answers. We didn't really see very much interaction between Keyshawn and her dad. So what exactly is their relationship? Like, did he kind of dump Keyshawn to be a stepfather to these other girls? Like, is it that kind of situation? Because we just didn't really see very much interaction with them. And I was always really bothered, even in the Cinderella story, like, well, where her daddy at? Why her daddy letting her be treated like this? You know, but it's like the daddy just wasn't around. Like the dad is like off working. That always bothered me. You don't see how this person treating your kids? What is the benefit to you of like having somebody like mistreat your kids? Anyway, Derek shows up to rescue her, swoops in, white knight, and brings her her first pair of glass slippers. He brings her a dress that he selected for her that she had to like do some very fast crunches to fit into. And ultimately she just, you know, put on some Spanx like the rest of us and moved on with her life. So she goes to the all white prom, walks in on just like the perfect song. Like, who does not love I'm in Love with the Coco? Like, perfect song. Absolutely loved it. Everyone's having a good time. There's such a huge, I loved the juxtaposition between the food at the white ball and the food at the black ball. Like, I loved it. It was like crab legs, ham sandwiches. And it's just like, yeah, if you went to school in South Fulton County, hello. Did we have food at our prom? I know we like ate before, but I don't know if we like had food at our prom. I'm gonna have to call somebody as soon as I get done with this because now I'm curious. Like, did we have food and was it good? Anyway, that's not important, but that just I'm curious. Obviously, Derek's mom is not happy about Keyshawn and Derek. Like, people are staring. It's, you know, they're not happy about it. But afterwards, we get confirmation that Derek's father is abusing him. It starts snowing. It's very romantic. They have sex in the car. Great. So she gets home a little bit late. Shanice is drunk and crying. And it's like, who hasn't had too much red wine one late night and just found themselves crying. I know I have. I probably will later. Anyway, and she warns Keyshawn about being a man's Barbie doll because he'll always go find another one. And I'm wondering, like, child, was James cheating? Is that what he was out of town doing? And now you said, I don't know if she was like predicting the abuse so much as, you know, maybe because that is a controlling thing, right? And again, these are the grand gestures that it's like, oh my God, this is so thoughtful. But is this just like a really controlling thing to do, to like select a dress for me and don't ask for my input, and, you know, like knowing the shoe size and all that stuff like that? It's a fine line between a genuine gesture and like a manipulative kind of gesture. So we obviously know that Derek is a monster. So this was just more so a form of manipulation leading up to a life of hell. So, we come back to the future. We're at the initial after party, the pregame for the after party in the hotel room. And the beef between Teak and Lil Murda becomes evident. And I absolutely loved the unspoken communication between Wody and Keyshawn, where it's like, is he I really, really love that, because I love relationships with people where you can communicate just with your eyes. It's one of my favorite things. I also hate when you try to do that with a friend who blows up the spot, where it's like, if you're not catching it, just the girls who get it, and the girls who don't, just move on. It's so annoying, but I love when it works. So, Rome comes in, with room keys for the guys. He tells them that they're not coming to Jocelyn's after party. And, you know, it's like, you guys should be grateful that I got you rooms, because if it was up to Wody, y'all would be in Conyers. Conyers is not Atlanta, okay? I'm not trying to be that girl, but it's not Atlanta. I'll just say that. So, Teak is already in a bad place because he has found out that his lover had a lover. And, you know, I'm sure we'll tap in with that relationship on the next episode, but he is already not in a good place. So he and Rome get into it. It's a mess. Teak and Lil Murda storm out, you know, whatever. So Rome tells Keyshawn, come up to the room when you're ready to head out, right? So then we go back to the past, and Keyshawn is pregnant. They're living in the house. Keyshawn is not happy with the baby stuff that they've been given. She's, you know, complaining a lot, which, I mean, you're pregnant. You're basically a teen mom. Again, was she still in high school? Did they graduate? I don't know. But Derek ultimately blames her for his family disowning him and calls her like gutter trash and all this stuff like that, which should be an inclination to her that Diamond wasn't lying when he said that he called them gutter niggas, because it's like he's kind of used that terminology with you in reference to you. So he's, you know, calling her like the likes of you. I shouldn't have dipped my dick in the likes of you and all this stuff like that. And it's like, sweetie, nobody forced you to do anything. Okay, this was consensual. So keep it cute. And yeah, his family isn't really doing much at all. And, you know, Keyshawn's dad put down the deposit. She's working late nights at Walgreens while pregnant and basically taking care of Derek because his family hasn't disowned him. And he's telling her that's what she should be doing because it's her fault that they don't have anything. And it's like the mental gymnastics you had to do to arrive there, honey. So they're going back and forth, and then he gets aggressively physical for the first time, choking her out to the point of like breathlessness. And I was reading on Katori Hall's Twitter that it's actually more common for women to be abused when they're pregnant because that's when they're at their most vulnerable. And I was like, you know what? That tracks, but that is also extremely tragic and devastating. These scenes are really, really, really hard to watch. And I always appreciate when I'm one of those people who appreciates the trigger warnings at the beginning of things like this, because at least I can like mentally prepare myself for it. It's hard for me to watch violence like against women at the hands of men. Like, it infuriates me. I cannot stand to see that. So she tries to go home, and she gets turned away. And again, it's like, I got so much smoke for Keyshawn's dad, because how you let somebody turn your child away? And it's, I can't have this around my daughters. And it's like, but your daughter is like known for performing like top-notch fellatio around the school. So who's protecting whom from what? I have questions. And it'd be like that. We had a friend like that when we were growing up, whose mom didn't want her hanging out with us because like our parents, me and my two best friends, were basically like raised together. Like we kind of lived together in a way. And our parents gave us a lot of freedom because it was the three of us all the time, right? And so we have this other friend whose mom insisted that we were fast, and she didn't really want her daughter hanging around us. And it was just like, it wasn't us. I'm just saying that. It wasn't us. So, anywho, this isn't about me. So, fast forward back to the future. Keyshawn goes up to Rome's room to head out to the party, and Rome isn't dressed yet, which, you know, red flag number one. And he tells her that the wig line didn't come through, you know, whatever. And she just has to take his word for it on these things. She hasn't seen any paperwork. Like, we don't know. Like, it could have been a really solid deal. We can't trust this man, but whatever. He decides that she should have a line of stripper shoes. So this is, again, her being extended a pair of glass slippers. And she makes a really good point that, like, this is going to be a smaller base. You know, like, I'm trying to just sell shoes to other dancers, whereas everybody wears wigs these days. That would have been like a better opportunity. He tells her to at least like try them on, whatever. And she looked gorgeous. Like, what an outfit. I want to wear that just next Tuesday for no reason. So cute. So cute. And then next thing you know, he comes in with his dick out. And it's like, who told you to do that? So he starts basically making it seem like he's entitled to her because of the work that he's doing on her behalf. And it's just like, all of this is pending. Like, you have to pay for this stuff. And his expectation is for her to pay with her body. And he even more so has that expectation because she's a dancer. And in that regard, it seems like, well, she does everything transactionally anyway, so this should just be another transaction for you. And she tries to make it really clear to him that in those moments, I am in control. I am giving this person the illusion of a fantasy. It's charity. It's like, I'm still very much in control. And that's something that I admire about dancers so much, is the confidence that they have with men. I am not that confident with men, especially not men that I'm attracted to. And I have always admired the way that they really know how to finesse men. They know how to, talk to them like in a way that I just don't know. And I really like that was a part of the conversation of the consent that's involved in that exchange. Yes, it's transactional, but it has to be consensual. And the dancers do have a certain amount of power that they can wield in that transaction, right? They're still in a very vulnerable state, in my opinion. But yeah, there is some privilege there, right? Because they're offering a service that people are coming to pay for. And Rome is just kind of like, fuck all that. He feels entitled and he attempts to rape her. That was very hard to watch. And I was just like, God, please don't let it like actually happen, because I just like don't want to watch that. So she narrowly escapes, leaving behind one of her glass slippers, and she runs to Wodie's room and confides in him, and tells him that the other shitty thing that happened, pre-sexual assault, is that he has a video of Lil Murda. He has video evidence that Lil Murda is gay. And Wodie is reassuring Keyshawn that you might be naive and ambitious, but you're not stupid. And it's that self-blame kind of thing that people tend to do, not just in these situations, but women tend to take on the emotional responsibility of men's behavior a lot. And she's calling herself, stupid. And the thing is, this is a life pattern. this is what you do. You get in trouble and you go home, even though that home isn't safe. So she tells Wody that she's quitting the tour and she wants to go home. And I can't imagine being put in such a shitty position with Rome that you actively want to go back to the home with Derek. But I could imagine that it's just like, maybe it's the devil, you know. So Keyshawn decides to go home, and she discovers that her son is being abused. Now, I said in my last video that, again, we do have to extend grace to domestic violence victims a whole lot more, because it simply doesn't help them to make them feel worse about themselves when they're already in that position, because they have compromised self-confidence and self-esteem. But I said in my last video, you probably shouldn't leave your kids with an out-of-work abuser. If he will beat you, he will beat your kids, especially because he was abused as a kid. So she takes her son to the doctor. That's when it's confirmed. And she tries to confront Derek about it, and he ends up just like dragging her. This was such a hard scene to watch. Dragging her through the house by her hair. Like, if you don't have the wherewithal to stand up for yourself, you also won't have the wherewithal to fully stand up for your kids. And that devastated me, because it's like, how are you going to get out? How are you going to escape this? I cannot imagine. I don't want to imagine. It was a really hard scene to watch. You know, and he like puts an iron to her face, and I was just like, God, please don't let that happen, you know. And she's just like, anywhere but my face. And even hearing her say things like, you can beat me, but not my kids. Why can he beat you? It broke my heart that she has been mistreated and abandoned by so many people. Even though she had a good relationship with her stepsisters, they were still kids, and they didn't really have very much power to help her out either. And she doesn't have a savior, you know. So you can imagine why when Diamond stepped in and tried to save her, she couldn't buy into that, but she bought into it with Rome, because we do tend to go for the familiar. Even when it's painful, you still went to someone else who was also attempting to control you, attempting to exploit you. And this is what people do. Like, when you don't recognize the sources of your trauma, you keep playing it out in the same pattern over and over again. And it's ultimately like what she's done. She's gone from one white knight to another, to another, to another. And nobody can really save her. Like, you have to find the wherewithal to save yourself. There's no such thing as a white knight, you know? So that's the end of Keyshawn's story. We then go for the redemption story, where Wody, who is not a good manager, let's be clear, he ain't secured no good rooms, he ain't secured no contracts. We don't really know what Wody doing out here, okay? But he did slide Rome some crushed up fentanyl and induced an overdose. And this was a Game of Thrones level murder. It made me so happy. You know, a good manager he is not, but a revenge strategy to protect his artist's image, awesome. So not a white knight, maybe just a black knight, or maybe just a dude who did the right thing. And we're not going to think too hard about it. I really appreciated this scene. So we'll see what happens next episode. I'm begging for more. I really want to know how things are going to play out with Lil Murder and T. I want to know everything, honestly. Are we going to get more origin stories? Are we going to get Mercedes' origin story? Maybe we've gotten so much of it that they won't give her her own individual, because we've gotten, you know, her relationship with her mom has been so much of like, at least like a B plot, if not an A plot. So maybe we won't. But I just love origin stories. So I am curious to see. Slide in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know what you're looking forward to next episode. And I will talk to you guys next week to recap episode 6. Bye.